the big news site in Michigan, Flight 253 eyewitness, authorities are lying about terror attack. And, of course, people accuse us of sensationalism. That's what the headline says from mainstream news. The article Paul Watson wrote about it had a very, very tame headline. In fact, I have it here in my stack. But I mean, we have eyewitnesses saying this is open lying going on. And that's the kind of headlines we need at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. The establishment tries to intimidate alternative news people into watering down what we say, watering down what we do, into mediating facts. Facts are facts. You can have your own opinions, but you can't have your own facts. And Watson and everybody are doing a great job. It's just that the mainstream media realizes the bombshell nature of those interviews we did the last few days. I don't think we do. I don't think the listeners do. I don't think people understand this is really a staged event in front of us with a patsy. There's no other way to see it. And I don't think people realize just how big this is, what's being kicked off. I don't think people realize just how serious this is, what's being set off, what's being launched. Webster Tarpley, breaking down the larger geopolitical ramifications. A lot of analysts saying this could be the beginning of World War III. Open talk. Hopefully it's not the case. More saber rattling about striking Iran. Israel saying they may strike Iran. Iran saying they'll strike back. What that will do. What do you think the globalists are testing? What are the Anglo-American establishment doing right now? Where do you see this going? This talk about going into Africa, Somalia, Sudan, not just Aden and Yemen.
Well, first of all, I would say the use of Yemen. Yemen is the place where you play Saudi Arabia against Iran, and I think this is what has changed compared to Bush. In other words, the Obama administration knows that they're too weak to do these attacks, so they've got to get other people to do them. They want to attack Pakistan. They know they can't attack Pakistan. They've got to use Pashtunistan and Baluchistan and get a rebellion going inside Pakistan. Now, with Yemen, it's the civil war going on. The U.S., before the eyes of the world, is massively building up al-Qaeda. And the way they're doing it is by transferring people from Guantanamo, right? It's now all over the news that the number 2 man of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, a complete U.S. creation, is actually somebody who was in Guantanamo. And we can see from Iranian press TV that they accuse the U.S. of transferring terrorist fighters from all over, from Bagram in Afghanistan, from all the prisons, all the black sites that they have across the Middle East. Those are now being massed in Yemen to create an al-Qaeda striking force inside Yemen that can be used to make this civil war worse, right? They can tack back and forth, fighting one, fighting another, setting off bombs, getting the Saudis to do more air attacks, getting the Iranians embroiled more. So this is going on before the eyes of the world. And if you read carefully in the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post, you can see that they're saying it's probably not a good idea to transfer so many al-Qaeda people from Guantanamo back into Yemen. But that is exactly the goal. In other words, this is not an unintended consequence. It is the intended consequence. Now, I do not see an attack on Iran, and I'll tell you why. The approach to Iran is essentially what I've been saying, is to get Iran fighting Saudi Arabia. Now, this was sort of the pattern.
No, Webster, I got to stop you. I remember almost 2 years ago, you said they're going to play Saudi Arabia off against Iran in proxy wars. You said they're going to try to overthrow Iran internally. And exactly what you said happened. That's why we have you on so much. I mean, you're one of the only people in the world who actually gets it. And it's not that TV pundits don't get it. They're always talking nonsense because the public is fed on a diet of nonsense. You've read Brzezinski's books. You understand the geopolitical strategy of the Anglo-American establishment. Explain to people how you knew this 2 years ago.
Well, part of it is from reading these books, and part of it is just from having observed them for, it seems like about 40 or 50 years by now, since I was a child. But look, concerning this Yemen business, that's one approach to getting Iran into trouble. The other thing is, remember that when the U.S. and the British foment the rebellion of Baluchistan, that will carve up not just Pakistan, but also Iran. So there's another approach. Let's also remember that they've got this thing in Arabistan. The oil area of Iran has an Arab population, and that's where we have this Akvaz or Arabistan Liberation Front, what I always call BP, British Petroleum Liberation Front, because that's what it is. And, of course, you've got this green coup, the CIA faction in Iran, the death to Russia, death to China faction around Mousavi and Rafsanjani. Now, here's the thing. If anybody bombs Iran, it's an open secret that the Pakistanis Revolutionary Guards will simply exterminate all the leaders of this so-called opposition, Mousavi, Rafsanjani, Khatami, this entire crew. They'll all be found floating in the river. So I don't see any attack on Iran as long as they can keep this people power coup, velvet revolution, postmodern coup thing going inside Iran. So I think that's Iran. Now, Pakistan is a different story. Pakistan, you got the massive escalation of the drone attacks. You've got bombs going off. Inside Pakistan, remember, it's Balochistan and Pashtunistan that are supposed to rebel. And in the past couple of weeks, they added another aspect of it, which is to play Shiites against Sunnis. Pakistan is largely Sunni, but there's a significant Shiite minority. And we just had a bomb go off in Karachi, which was targeting these Shiites to get them riled up. So in this case, you'd be breaking up Iran according to four ethnic groups, Balochistan, Pashtunistan, Punjab, and Sindh, plus along this Sunni Shiite line.
And by the way, on every point you make, you have giant reams of documents, evidence, and history. Let's not forget 2004, repeatedly 2005, 2006, British, U.S., and Israeli contractors and regular military, special air services out of England, are caught in multiple events dressed up as Sunnis running around killing Shiites and U.S. and British forces. British got caught doing it. Even Ray McGovern, former chief CIA analyst of Ronald Reagan, George Bush Sr., came on the show and said, I believe the bombing of the Golden Mosque was U.S. It came out a month later. They evacuate the neighborhood. U.S. Army pulls up, goes in and blows the mosque up in front of everyone, and then blames it on another Muslim group to get the Shiites and Sunnis killing each other. So this is just done out in the open. This is standard procedure.
Yeah. Al-Qaeda is the CIA Arab Legion. It's now expanded to be the CIA Muslim Legion. Al-Qaeda in Iraq was created by General McChrystal when he needed it. There had to be an Al-Qaeda in Iraq for propaganda needs, but also to prevent the Iraqi population from uniting against the invaders and the occupiers. And now we've got the new one, AQAP, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, which is another completely fake organization.